Hello everyone, this is episode 27 of Sci-Fi Read Aloud. We are going to finish chapter 14 of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea today. The next morning, the 17th of November, on awakening, I felt that the Nautilus was perfectly still. I dressed quickly and entered the saloon. Captain Nemo was there, waiting for me. He rose, bowed, and asked me if it was convenient for me to accompany him. As he made no allusion to his absence during the last 8 days, I did not mention it, and simply answered that my companions and myself were ready to follow him. We entered the dining room where breakfast was served. "Monsieur Aronnax," said the captain, "pray share my breakfast without ceremony. We will chat as we eat. For though I promised you a walk in the forest, I did not undertake to find hotels there. So breakfast as a man who will most likely not have his dinner till very late." I did honor to the repast. It was composed of several kinds of fish and slices of holothuridae, excellent zoophytes. A different sort of seaweed. Our drink consisted of pure water, to which the captain added some drops of fermented liquor, extracted by the Katmanchada method from a seaweed known under the name of Rhodomenea palmata. Captain Nemo ate at first without saying a word. Then he began. "Sir, when I proposed to you to hunt in my submarine forest of Crespo, you evidently thought me mad. Sir, you should never judge lightly of any man. But, Captain, believe me. Be kind enough to listen, and you will then see whether you have any cause to accuse me of folly and contradiction." I listen. "You know as well as I do, Professor, that man can live underwater, providing he carries with him a sufficient supply of breathable air. In submarine works, the workman, clad in an impervious dress with a head in a metal helmet, receives air from above by means of forcing pumps and regulators." "That is a diving apparatus," said I. "Just so. But under these conditions, the man is not at liberty. He is attached to the pump which sends him air through an india rubber tube, and if we were obliged to be thus held to the Nautilus, we could not go far." "And the means of getting free?" I asked. "It is to use the roquioral apparatus invented by 2 of your own countrymen, which I have brought to perfection for my own use, and which will allow you to risk yourself under these new physiological conditions without any organ whatever suffering. It consists of a reservoir of thick iron plates, in which I store the air under a pressure of 50 atmospheres. This reservoir is fixed on the back by means of braces, like a soldier's knapsack. Its upper part forms a box in which the air is kept by means of a bellows, and therefore cannot escape unless it is its normal tension. In the roquioral apparatus, such as we use, 2 india rubber pipes leave this box and join a sort of tent which holds the nose and mouth. One is to introduce fresh air, and the other is to let out the foul. And the tongue closes one or the other according to the wants of the respirator. But I, in encountering great pressures at the bottom of the sea, was obliged to shut my head, like that of a diver, in a ball of copper. And it is to this ball of copper that the 2 pipes, the inspirator and the expirator, open." "Perfectly, Captain Nemo, but the air that you carry with you must soon be used. When it only contains 15% of oxygen, it is no longer fit to breathe." "Right, but I told you, Monsieur Aronnax, that the pumps of the Nautilus allow me to store the air under considerable pressure, and on those conditions, the reservoir of the apparatus can furnish breathable air for 9 or 10 hours. "I have no further objections to make," I answered. "I will only ask you one thing, Captain. How can you light your road at the bottom of the sea?" "With the Ruhmkorff apparatus, Monsieur Aronnax. One is carried on the back, the other is fastened to the waist. It is composed of a Bunsen pile, which I do not work with bichromate of potash, but with sodium. A wire is introduced which collects the electricity produced and directs it towards a particularly made lantern. This lantern is a spiral glass which contains a small quantity of carbonic gas. When the apparatus is at work, The gas becomes luminous, giving out a white and continuous light. Thus provided, I can breathe and I can see. Captain Nemo, to all my objections you make such crushing answers that I dare no longer doubt. But if I am forced to admit the Roquayrol and Ruhmkorff apparatus, I must be allowed some reservations with regard to the gun I am to carry. But it is not a gun for powder, answered the captain. Then it is an air gun? Doubtless. How would you have me manufacture gunpowder on board without either saltpeter, sulfur, or charcoal? Besides, I added, to fire underwater in a medium 850 times denser than air, we must conquer very considerable resistance. That would be no difficulty. There exist guns, according to Fulton, perfected by England by Philip Coles and Burley, in France by Fursey, and in Italy by Landi, which are furnished with a peculiar system of closing, which can fire under these conditions. But I repeat, having no powder, I can use air under great pressure, which the pumps of the Nautilus furnish abundantly. But this air must be rapidly used. Well, I have not my Roquayrol reservoir, which can furnish it as need. A tap is all that is required. Besides, Monsieur Aronnax, you must see yourself that during our submarine hunt, we can spend a little air and but a few balls. But it seems to me that in this twilight and in the midst of this fluid, which is very dense compared with the atmosphere, shots should not go far, nor easily prove mortal. Sir, on the contrary, with this gun every blow is mortal, and however lightly the animal is touched, it falls as if struck by a thunderbolt. Why? Because the balls sent by this gun are not ordinary balls, but little cases of glass, invented by Leniebroek, an Austrian chemist, of which I have a large supply. These glass cases are covered with a case of steel and weighted with a pellet of lead. They are real Leyden bottles into which the electricity is forced into a very high tension. With the slightest shock they are discharged, and the animal, however strong it may be, falls dead. I must tell you that these cases are size number 4, and that the charge for an ordinary gun would be 10. I will argue no longer, I replied, rising from the table. I have nothing left me but to take my gun. At all events, I will go where you go. Captain Nemo then led me aft, and in passing before Ned and Conseil's cabin, I called my 2 companions, who followed immediately. We then came to a kind of cell near the machinery room, in which we were to put our walking dress. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back with Chapter 15 tomorrow.